workshop. Last week we cut this inlay. This week we're going to inlay it. I've decided to use my fret bender. It's a old headstock blank that didn't work out for me, so I cut it off and I turned it into a string bender so it looks like my guitar head. Simple tool. If you guys are interested, let me know in the comments below. We can build a new one. So I'm going to start by taking this apart. Alright, now that we got that dismantled, we're going to start inlaying it. Now here I got some basic tools that I use when I do my inlay work. I don't use all of these knives necessarily. These knives here are mainly what I use to mark where I'm going, and then I generally use these 3 chisels here. I don't usually use much more. I have in the past, but these 3 tend to get me by better than all the rest of them. And then 9 times out of 10 you can go with a Kiridashi like this. This is a flex cut version of it. This is an old German marking knife. You can realistically just get away with a good old razor. And that's what I end up using a lot of the time. Though I do use these Kiridashis, and I have a couple more that I also use, this is what I tend to gravitate towards the most to mark out where my lines are. When I start doing an inlay, I usually do most of this freehand. So I'll just take a pencil and I'll end up marking where I'm cutting away. You want to try and get into the grooves as best as possible. So I'll usually make a couple passes on each little section. Just to get a good dark line. You can see we got our line transferred on there. When you're cutting, you want to keep in mind that you want to cut on the inside of these lines, because this is the outermost part of where that inlay is going to sit. Now before I do anything, I always make sure that my knives and my chisels are nice and sharp. A sharp knife is a lot less likely to hurt you than a dull knife will. Not to mention, it just reduces the risk of you doing any kind of tear out while you're cutting. So I'm going to go ahead and we can start with this knife here. I'm going to go ahead and cut on the inside of that line. You're just scoring. You don't want to press down. It makes it a lot harder to follow your lines. Go slowly. You don't want to mess it up. that we got that traced out with a knife, we can go ahead and start chiseling. Now when I start to do my chiseling for my inlays, I like to move in the outermost part first toward my line to give me my definition, and then I start working on the waist in the center. Now that I got the outermost parts, I can get the waist away in the middle. Alright, now that that hole is established, we just got to clean it up so that it sits flush all the way down, and then we got to glue it in. Now you can put in your inlays several ways. I like to use epoxy. You can use CA glue, anything like that. I just think this gives a much stronger bond. I like to mix in some of the sawdust with the type of wood that I'm using just to give it the same color. So in this case we're using maple. So I'll just mix in a little bit just to give it the same tint. Otherwise this does mix clear, but this kind of helps give the illusion. I'm going to go a little heavy on it. We're going to end up sanding away anyway. Take a block of wood here with a hammer just to get it set in place. And then I'm going to go ahead and use some more of this epoxy just to fill in. Alright, now that that's dry, it's a little messy. All that's left is to clean that up. I'll start by cleaning up with this chisel a little bit, and then I'm going to move to the sander. Alright, well, we revealed the bird. Now we're going to sand it. Alright, and there is the inlay, nice and smooth. Alright, we got our shellac ready, and we got our gloves on. Let's put a coat on this. And there it is. Well, I couldn't be happier with how that turned out. I had left this unfinished intentionally because I wanted to do something to it. I just wasn't sure what. And I couldn't have been better timing. You got something else you'd like to see? You can leave a comment below. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And we'll see you next week. Bye.